Today we answer a question from a stay-at-home mom who's wondering what kind of job she can get with her science degree. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Brian back at you with another video where my goal is to mentor you to a rewarding career and to help you create a life you're proud of. And before I get into it all, guys, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and I wish you guys the best for the new year. So today we're going to answer a really good question from a viewer. And for those of you guys out there who are looking for a career coach or a career mentor, I get this question a lot. What should I be looking for, or what makes you, Brian, so different from everyone else? Well, regardless of what I bring to the table, here's my advice to those of you who are searching for a career coach, and I will say there are plenty of them to choose from out there. It really depends on which ones you click with, but the big one for me, and this is something that I'd really educate you guys on, is to find someone with real world working experience. Hopefully someone with a high level position who's worked in the industry for a while. That is someone that has real experience that they can then adapt into their coaching world. Whereas there's a part of the coaching industry where, let's be honest, let's face it, a lot of them didn't make it. They weren't able to get that far in the business setting. Perhaps it was too competitive, too stressful. They just couldn't cut it. And as a result, took a different approach, got their coaching certification and really went that route. Now, again, that's not a bad thing per se, but it does play a difference in experience and perspective, and as a result, advice to you. So if it were my money I'm spending on, I really want someone that could provide that level of experience and that perspective, that real world experience to the table. Whereas someone who's just regurgitating books, reading the latest articles or psychological studies, that's great, and there's no harm in doing that, but there's something to be said about that experience versus someone that's actually lived it. If you guys are on the search, definitely keep that in mind, but whoever you go with, good luck, and I really hope that that person definitely helps you out. All right, so let's get to the question from the viewer. This person says, "Hi, I really enjoyed your YouTube videos. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Is there a way I can work at home and make money with my degree? I wouldn't want to get a job that I couldn't reference my degree to. Please share any advice you can think of. By the way, I was a science teacher for 3 years." Really good question. This person obviously has a science degree, and I think her subject was that she's got a BA in biology, and she also has some credits as she was pursuing her master's, but I don't get the impression that she actually did finish it, or maybe she did. She just said that she got some credits from my master's there. So here's the thing. Let's be honest, when you walk out with a degree, you have to have a realistic set of expectations in terms of the skill set you have outside of college, right? Once you graduate, how much did you really learn in 4 years? I don't think you really get into the details of a particular subject or a particular major until the last year, maybe the last 2 years of your degree, whereas the first 2 years is very, very broad. So really your education doesn't really get into the details until the last 2 years. And let's be honest, 2 years isn't really that much time. And let's be very frank, 2 years isn't really 2 years. It's more like 8 months, right? That's four months a semester, and that's essentially what your 2 years consists of. So how much can you really learn in 8 months? For the most part, if you're talking about sciences, you have a very basic understanding of fairly complex topics. You have a very shallow understanding of them. What you're learning is very simplified, very general. And when you're talking about your lab skills, they're very, very minimal. You're essentially following a cookbook, if you will, of instructions of what to do and how to do it. And that's really what exposes you to the lab environment. But you really have had very, very little experience with a bachelor's degree. So let's just be clear in terms of your skill set that you offer other companies or other employers. It's fairly minimal to start. And this is no different than, say, someone who is learning martial arts, learning karate. You know, you go from your white belt all the way to your yellow belt, orange belt, green, blue, brown, and then black belt. And everyone assumes that once you're a black belt, you are a lethal weapon. You know how to fight, you know how to kick butt, you know all the techniques, you know all the drills. But the reality is that once you're a black belt, that's when you actually start to learn All the other belts were just teaching you the fundamentals, the basics. And then once you're a black belt, that's when you really get into the details, the exceptions to the rules. And it also creates the foundation that you need to really go into the deeper dive of the real techniques, of the things that actually are effective, and then the things that are actually just exercises. So you really have to spend that time to actually break down what is legit, what is actually useful, versus what is theory, versus what is conditioning. So you don't get that type of experience leading up to being a black belt. So you don't really get to learn anything until you are a black belt. But once you're a black belt, you're really not that high up. You're at the bottom, and then you have to really start working at it from there. And the same thing is said with regards to your bachelor's degree straight out of college. So your skill set is fairly limited. Let's be realistic. So on that point, what are your options as a stay-at-home mom? Well, let's look at what kind of skill set you do have straight out of college. Chances are you have done tons of report writing, a lot of reading, a lot of research, summarizing articles, analyzing articles, doing some basic data analysis. You do have a pretty good skill set, but again, let's be honest, it's fairly elementary. As a stay-at-home mom, that means you can't leave the house, you can't commute. You want to do something that you can do through the internet, perhaps through email. And the one that comes to mind, the types of jobs that come to mind, are those that actually help out consultants. If I look at an example within my industry, let's say you want to get into regulatory affairs. These guys are the ones that are doing licensing. They're actually doing submitting licenses for either drugs or dietary supplements. You actually have to submit a dossier, a report of different studies, and actually prove to the government or to an agency that your product is safe, effective, and of high quality. But the truth is, a lot of that legwork, all that grunt work of the research, the writing, the time spent to draft up the dossier, it's fairly mundane. It gets really monotonous after a while, and this is the stuff that they would rather outsource. And I think if you do have some hours to spare, this might be a great avenue for you to work at home and actually use your skill set and your basic understanding in the sciences. So if you are interested in this avenue, you could definitely Google dietary supplement consulting or natural health products consulting. Send them an email, tell them that you are interested in this type of position, that you'd be willing to write up reports or do some research on PubMed and summarize the clinical studies on a particular health claim. Tell them that you are available for this, and should they have an opportunity for you, that you'd be interested in applying for it. I think you would actually get fairly good feedback, and if not, they could definitely point you in the right direction, because these guys have a very, very wide network. They are consultants after all, so they do know a lot of people in the industry. So it could be a really good avenue for you to explore. So if you like this advice and you like this video, but you're thinking, Brian, I want a little bit more help, a little more deeper guidance to this avenue, well, definitely go to my website, 101mentoring.com. I've got my products and services listed right there. In particular, they all have a Christmas sale on right now. I do have pay by the minute mentoring. I do have short 30-minute mentoring sessions or an hour-long mentoring sessions. I offer a wide variety of products that are very flexible and affordable. Definitely check that out, and we can hopefully work together in the future. Guys, I'll have to end it there. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, please hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll check you in the next one. Cheers.